Various types of leads or introductions. The opening paragraph of the introduction paragraph of the news story is called the lead. Though in journalistic practice we also use this word for biggest headline on the front page of newspaper, calling it the lead story. The main purpose of the intro or the lead is to make the reader want to read on, motivate them to move further into the news story and state the important facts first. Lead to a story grabs the reader, informs the reader, and teaches the reader how to read the rest of the story. John McPhee says the lead is the flashlight that shines into a story. A newspaper reader is likely to spend only a few seconds deciding whether to read a story. If the lead does not grab the reader, the writer's work is in vain. The lead establishes the direction your writing will take. A good lead grabs your reader's attention and refuses to let go. In other words, it hooks the reader. Not every type of lead will work for every writer or for every piece of writing, and one has to experiment with them. For writing a good news story, be sure to have at least 3 sentences in your lead, whatever type it may be. A lead should be direct and simple. They should have the most important information near the beginning of the sentence. Not try to tell everything, but they should be a good summaries of what the story is about. It includes specific information, concrete facts about the story. Not begin with the when element because this is rarely the most important thing you have to tell the reader. Use a strong verb to describe the action. Be accurate above all these. The next topic which we are going to discuss are the types of leads. Number 1, hard lead, direct lead, and also known as the summary lead. This kind of lead is mostly used in news stories because of the fact that news stories need to be concise, to the point, and put the most important information into the least amount of words. That's why with summary leads, you summarize the entire article in the lead. Or in the other words, put the most important piece of information into the first sentence and go from there. Here is an example of a summary lead. President Bush was aiming to rally US forces, encountering tougher resistance in Iraq, and warned Americans anew of a potentially long conflict when he was to visit the headquarters of Central Command on Wednesday. The President was getting a pair of briefings from Central Command brass and having lunch with the troops. At the Tampa Flak facility, he also was to give a speech in which he was reminding military personnel that the United States leads a large coalition in the war to unseat Saddam Hussein, while House spokesman Fleischer said, blind leads. This is a lead where you start off the article by summarizing but leaving out one essential detail. This is done to catch the interest of the reader. As journalists, you want people to read and be interested in your work. And in feature writing, especially confusing the reader in the beginning is sometimes a very good way to catch their interest. Right after a blind lead, you have to clarify the missing piece of information though. Here's another example. It was like the scene from the movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High, only a wireless generation. Elena Brooks was incredulous when a pizza delivery man arrived at Bethel High School one day last spring with an order for a student who was in class. Finding the culprit was simple enough. Go into the room, tell everyone to turn their cell phones on and find out which phone has the number stored for the pizza place, said Miss Brooks, the principal of Bethel High in Hampton. When identified, the student said he had ordered the pizza because he had missed lunch. He did not see anything wrong with it at all, which was amazing, she said. Narrative leads. These leads are another feature type that actually takes you into the mind of the main person in an article. Narrative leads tell a story from a person's specific perspective. It's the most classic and, in some instances, most effective way to start your article out with their story and tie it into the main point. Here's an example. Joe Janabai had his heart set on going to college out east next year. But since September 11, his parents have laid down a new rule. No school more than 5 hours. Drive from home in Deerfield. Part of me says that he has to follow his dreams, says his mother, Maureen, who wants her son to be able to get home in an emergency. But there must be another place closer to home where he can do that. Quotation leads. This is a lead where you start off the article with a quotation that expresses the idea you want to get across well. In some newsrooms, quotation leads are banned because finding the perfect quotation for an article is a very challenging task that most newspapers don't have the time for. Articles are written fast and frequently, and finding a good lead is essential and needs to sometimes be done very quickly. But you have the time quote leads are very effective if done right. Example, when Neil Armstrong landed on the moon, most newspapers led the first words he spoke. A small step for man, but a giant leap for mankind. Question leads. There are leads. Use the first sentence of an article to answer one of the W questions in journalism. Who, what, when, where and why. Another question is how, and question leads can use this too. Basically, you use the lead to answer one question to make the reader wonder the answers to the rest. Example, will UPA government support Lalu? Is President Muzaffar honest in his intention to improve relations with India? How far polio campaign has succeeded in reducing the incidence of polio in the country? Direct appeal lead. This type of lead addresses the reader directly or by implication as you. It has the effect of making the reader a collaborator and partner in what follows. Example, you might not get relief from breezy winds as meteorological department said the weather is going to be same for the next 15 days. To summarize, a lead is an opening paragraph that gives the audience the most important information of the news story in a concise and clear manner, while still maintaining the reader's interest. If a reader does not read beyond your first paragraph, they are they should still have an idea of what your article is about and the most important information from that article. There are many different strategies for writing a good lead as well as many differing opinions. But the strongest opinion is that they are hard to take time. Don't plan on rushing a good lead. The 5 W's and 1 H. Before writing a lead, you need to ask the fundamental questions of news writing. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. Be sure to answer these questions in your lead and leave the less important information for later in your article. Also remember the inverted pyramid. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. The best lead is one that is concise and clear. Think about your story and then write a simple but powerful way to reflect it. Don't bog your reader down with overly complicated language or extra words. You must be clear and concise. Don't bury your lead. Your lead is your hook, the thing that makes the reader interested in your story. If you bury it, then their interest might be buried along with it. They should not have to ask themselves what the story is about. You should be telling them up front. The ABCs of journalism. Remember your ABCs, which are accuracy, brevity, and clarity. Though these should be incorporated throughout your article, they are especially important in the lead. The body. The body of the story involves combining the opinions of the people you interview, some factual data, and a narrative which helps the story flow. A word of caution. In this style of writing, you are not allowed to editorialize, state your own opinion in any way. The role of a reporter is to find out what people are thinking of an issue and to report the opinions of different stakeholders of an issue. These comments make up the bulk of the story. The narrative helps to weave what people are thinking of an issue and to report the opinions of different stakeholders of an issue. These comments make up the bulk of the story. The narrative helps to weave the comments into a coherent whole. Thus, stick to one particular theme throughout the story. You can put in different details, but they all have to relate to the original idea of the piece. Example, If your story is about black youth and their relationship with the police, you do not want to go into details about the life of any particular youth. That's all for today. We are done with chapter number 7, the lead, body, and the headlines. We'll discuss about the other chapters in the next video. Thank you very much.